Hi everyone, my name is Stephen Elder. That's Victor Camacho. Victor Camacho is my engineer. We appreciate you taking the time to listen how Pernixdata, we feel, is leading the charge with analytics-driven storage. First of all, I think it's important to talk about why companies like Pernixdata are even in existence. And that's because your traditional storage was not designed for virtualization. If you talk to our friends over at VMware, they'll tell you that about 70% of their support calls are directly because of storage bottlenecks. So it's a known issue. Many companies are out there going after the problem. We're one of those companies that are going after the fix. So the biggest innovation in storage over the last 5 years, I'm sure you've heard this a lot, is Flash, right? Flash is going to come in and fix all of your storage performance problems. However, Flash is just brute force performance. It's brawn without any brains. We at Pernixdata, we add the brains to the brawn. Also important to point out that you can't really fix what you don't know is going on in your environment. I liken it to when you take your animal to the veterinarian, right? The animal can't tell you what's wrong with it, unfortunately. So likewise, storage vendors can only give you analytics or data, as they refer to it, about their particular storage appliance. Where we start to change the conversation is that we give you analytics from a VM-specific situation, what the VM wants, what it needs, and then what it's doing to the storage on the back end. So when you talk about Pernixdata and our version of analytics-driven storage, it starts with one simple difference, and that's that we install directly into the hypervisor. Once we're installed, we start analyzing the VMs and then what it's doing to the storage on the back end, and then we can make recommendations to optimize based on what those actual requirements are. So if we can help you identify with what your current storage is doing, if that's working, or if you need to do a front-end acceleration solution, we can offer solutions around that as well. The key is, though, when you're done with step 3, you're not really done, right? Your workloads are going to continue to change, your applications are going to change, so we can continue to give you that intelligence behind what's going on in your environment so you can make key decisions. Little snapshot of our company. Our founders were Pujan Kumar and Satyam Vangani. You may not know Satyam by name, but you're going to know what he's done. So he actually created VMFS. In my humble opinion, allowing ESX to work with shared storage is the single biggest reason why virtualization took off like it did and why it's as prevalent as it is today. Other thing we're extremely proud of on that slide is that we're the fastest growing software infrastructure company in both terms of revenue and customers. Previously, that was Veeam. So that gives you an idea of where we're at in the landscape. And then also we've garnered a few awards over the years, and you can definitely contact us for questions on those. So when you talk about what we do and what we do differently from a design and management capability, we offer a product called Architect software. Architect gives you storage analytics for your VM environment. For performance, we offer FVP, which gives you storage acceleration for VMware. And then of course you're going to need data services and capacity on the back end. We're completely agnostic there. Anything on VMware's HCL list, we support. Jumping in to talk about Architect, that offers you real-time VM and storage analytics. Again, that's not from the storage perspective, it's from the VM itself, what it's requesting and what it needs. The other thing, as I mentioned, is that we're 100% hardware agnostic. So nobody else is going to be able to give you that global view into all of your storage platforms, but we will be able to do that. One of my favorite taglines for marketing, turn big data into big knowledge. Wouldn't it be great if you could accurately understand your workload behavior? So we're talking in terms of read-write, right, or block sizes, because block sizes can affect storage differently. Larger block sizes don't ingest well into SSDs or your all-flash arrays. So depending on that workload, we can help you optimize your applications and your upgrades. And then also, what would you do differently if you could accurately size for performance? So think about VDI, for instance, the boot storms, the maintenance storms. So we're able to help you size for that day-to-day versus just guessing on what you'll need and then over-provisioning. And then finally, if your VMs are performing poorly, why? Instead of coming to a red light, how do we fix those permanently? So if you ever take the time to do a demo with Pernixdata, these are some of the screenshots that you'll see on a regular basis that can help you on a day-to-day eliminate troubleshooting headaches. So how does this work in the real world? GPL marketing, they were able to save quite a bit of money when procuring new storage because they didn't over-provision. Our friends at Leatherman were able to save in man time. And then Beach Energy was able to avoid an outage during an exchange upgrade. So these are key examples and part of our use cases that you can find online. So that was Architect. For sheer performance, we have a product called FVP. And what FVP does is it allows you to aggregate server-side resources like flash or RAM into an acceleration tier. And from that, you can start accelerating individual VMs, individual applications, or the entire data store if you choose. Really, there's three tenets we talk about when we talk about FVP. This kind of shows you where we live in the market, right? A single server running VMware, and from that, you can start doing read acceleration or read caching. How you typically do that is you add an SSD, some type of software, and then you start accelerating. But that doesn't really solve the entire problem, right? Because we all know you have multiple hosts, and that doesn't allow you to take advantage of the feature set of VMware. So where we start to change the conversation is when you install us, there's absolutely no changes to your VMs or your applications. And that's really key from an operational standpoint. So nothing changes from a VM perspective or how you use VMware. And how we're able to do that is we're a kernel-based module. We're a VIB that actually is signed on by VMware into the hypervisor. Other key thing is that we're completely transparent to storage. So at no time will you have to go to your storage administrator and say, hey, I need you to make these changes for our software to work. And then, as I've mentioned a few times, we're completely agnostic. So we won't dictate to you from an architectural standpoint what you need to deploy. So again, this is where most of our competitors start and stop the conversation, and that's read acceleration or caching on a single host running VMware. Our second tenet, and where we start to expand the conversation, is that we're able to cluster across multiple hosts. So taking a simple example of a 400 gig drive, you install that into 5 servers. Everyone else sees that as 5 individual 400 gig drives. We do not. We actually aggregate that into a cache acceleration tier that's shared among all hosts. So when you do a simple task like vMotion, we know where the the read was, where it went, and if the request comes back in for that, we can say, oh, I remember that's on host A, versus transversing the entire network and then back again. So without any special configuration or changes to VMware or our software, you can seamlessly do any VMware application or operation, HA, snapshotting, anything that VMware does, we make it better and faster. So our third tenet, and because we're clustered, we can support write-back acceleration. As the write comes in to host B in this scenario, we make up to 2 synchronous replicas across the cluster. Once the replicas are complete, we acknowledge the write, release the VM, and then we start to the stage to back-end storage. So our number one goal is to accelerate your writes, but our number one rule is to protect your data. So if at any time we can't fulfill the data protection scheme that you've specified, we immediately go into write through or read acceleration only. We'll never lose or corrupt your data. And that's a key differentiator between us and our competitors. This shows you the traditional data path. We know that storage talks in the vernacular of IOPS. So the read or write comes in on the host, transverses the network, and then goes to the back-end storage and then back again. So it'd be great if we didn't have to do that, right? So essentially what we've done here is we've decoupled performance from capacity. When you scale with Pernixdata and add an FVP to a host, you're actually scaling storage performance as well. VMware allows 64 nodes in a cluster, and so do we. So we don't arbitrarily dictate what you can and can't do with VMware. And that's another key differentiator between us and our competitors. So what are we accelerating? Our number one use case is SQL, VDI. But if you look on the right here, there's a lot of resource hogs, like Splunk, SAP, Hadoop. So A lot of customers are wary about virtualizing those because of performance, or they've already virtualized them and are getting poor performance. We can definitely help alleviate that as well. So Charlotte Pipe avoided an AFA upgrade. They were able to save quite a bit. We helped our friends at T-Mobile virtualize SQL. I really like this slide though at the bottom, or this chart. This is VC Ops, so a third-party reporting tool. And this depicts Bank of the West. We can see that they were experiencing a lot of SQL latency, and as soon as they turned us on, their latency fell to the floor. Our NASCAR slide. So you can notice a lot of big names on here. We do have a lot of big customers, but the thing I like about this slide is that we have a lot of smaller ones as well. So most customers start out with 2 to 3 nodes of our software, and we service really anybody. So in summary, for design and management, we have a product called Architect, which gives you real-time analytics for your VM environment. For performance, FVP, which again allows you to aggregate server-side resources and accelerate individual VMs, individual applications, or the entire data store. And then of course, you're always going to need capacity or data services on the back end. Stay tuned to who's going to leverage next generation flash best the next. Stay tuned to Pernixdata there. So essentially, we make your storage smarter, faster, and more cost-effective. We can be an investment protection for you on your current infrastructure or as you're procuring new storage. We do offer a free trial, or health check, as I like to call it. Definitely get in touch with GPL to talk about how that would work. And right now, we're offering a fastest SAN alive performance challenge. So we want to put our money where our mouth is, and we're basically saying if we don't hit certain guarantees that we'll pay you. So we're offering up to 10 times faster based on what type of array you have, whether it's disk-based, hybrid array, or all flash. So that's basically all I had. I appreciate you guys taking the time to come up and listen, and if you have any questions, Vic and I will be around the rest of the evening. Thank you.